Hello everyone, and welcome back to Shook Over Ore. Peyton told me to do a video of the puppies today. So I have the puppies, Macoris, Sassy, who's very pregnant, you guys. Honestly, I don't know how many is in there because she's supposed to have 3 weeks left, but she's very fat and her belly is very tight. So we'll see. I also have Obi out here, and Vice. There's Howie. What you doing, Hugh? And Tanya Buns. I don't know where Vice went. I think he's upstairs. Lacoris, Obi, and Hibana are all in heat, so we've been having to keep them separated to try and keep the peace. And prevent any accidents. Where y'all going? So Kaya and Kismet are going home Saturday, and Deimos is going home next Saturday. There's Paladin. Paladin is our boy. He's staying with us. The weather's been pretty yucky this week. Went from extremely hot to now it's cold and raining and it's just disgusting again. There's Geisha. There's a Geisha girl. Kaya loves the cats, but she gets a little over exuberant and in their face. But she loves the kitties. So I figured I maybe could go over, since I don't think Peyton's mentioned it to anyone as of yet, but I could go over some tips for when your puppy comes home. On the day when you come get them, or we meet you halfway, or you pick them up from the airport, whatever the transportation was, generally we will try to withhold food and water because puppies are very prone to getting car sick. And you can expect that even if we withhold food or water, they probably will throw up some sort of phlegm or spit anyway. It just happens. I don't know why, but puppies get easily car sick. So if it happens, don't be concerned. They shouldn't be actually sick. It is more likely car sick. Wait a few hours after you get them home to see how they're doing. You can offer food and water within about an hour of you getting them home after they get comfortable and see how they do. They should be fine. Our puppies did really well on the one car ride they have had, which was an hour-long car ride. We only had one that threw up. The rest of them did really well. Anyway, that's it. So that's what you do for bringing them home. What to expect. They will likely cry in the car. Some scream, some howl, some whimper a little bit, some mostly sleep. They're all different. They all do different things. It's just them dealing with the separation from what they're familiar with and their litter mates and all that. Don't coddle them, just let them know that you're there for them. Coddling can easily make it a traumatizing or habitual thing for them to get into when it comes to anything that frightens a puppy or what's the word for it? Generally is a bad experience for them. They're not used to it. When they're not used to something and it bothers them, it's best not to coddle them. Just be there for them. I don't really know how to describe what that means other than be there. Let your presence be known to them, but don't pet on them too much. Don't coddle them. Just let them work through it, and once they're calm, once they're good, then you can love on them and begin to show them, who they're now to be bonded to. You guys, there's Vice. They're right underneath me. First day, usually they're very quiet. From our experience, all the puppies that we've gotten, which, we have, I don't even know how many dogs now, you guys, close to 20 dogs. We got all of them as puppies. And most of them are rather quiet on the first day. But at night, when it's time to go to bed, I start to feel that anxiety of being separated from what's normal to them again. So expect crying, expect whimpering, expect them to be kind of sad, but just let them work through it. Distract them with some toys, whatever you can. Just don't coddle them. It's best for them if you don't. They're playing on that old carpet we pulled out of the dog's room. For the first week, we have found that they're usually not normal. They're usually not their norm. Hey. They're very full of energy right now. It's best to keep the household as quiet and calm as you can during the first week. Any introductions to animals and or dogs that you may already have, I suggest you take it slowly, one day at a time, and keep everything very quiet and slow so they adjust well and they don't get frightened of something. Now, our puppies, don't drink that, because they are 12 weeks old now, they're past all of the fear periods that puppies have. As soon as they're born, puppies go through fear periods every 2 to 3 weeks, and it usually lasts a week. So puppies go through at least 3 to 4 fear periods as they're growing till 12 weeks old, and then it's kind of a skip, and they usually don't have another fear period till around 4 months. And then again at 6 months. So if you notice your puppy being particularly sensitive, what do I mean by that? They seem more jumpy to sounds that they normally wouldn't be jumpy to. They're more tense being picked up or played with. They're more tense or kind of aggressive toward another dog, cat, what have you. They could be going through a fear period. Another thing to consider, and during a fear period, you should just keep things quiet. Don't take them out anywhere. Don't take them out around strange animals or dogs. You shouldn't take your puppy out around any strange dogs anyway until they've been fully vaccinated, because they can pick up parvo literally anywhere. And parvo for puppies, till they're past a year old, till a dog is past a year old, is a death sentence. It's rare that they live through it. So to avoid that, don't take them out until they're fully vaccinated. And even then, with us, we don't take our dogs around other strange dogs. We go to state parks. We go to things like that because dog parks can be very dangerous and out of control. Other people's dogs can be unpredictable. Until you know a dog, just be careful, especially with a young puppy, because it can traumatize them if something happens. And that can stick with them for life. What we've seen is generally a dog doesn't get truly confident and less affected by stuff like that until they're over a year old. So just be kind and considerate of them. Dogs they're not as rough and tumble as everyone thinks they are. Some puppies, they don't have as hard of a time with that kind of stuff. But it does happen. So back to what I was saying in regards to the first week. Keep things quiet for their sake. Be gentle with them. If you have children, please teach them to be gentle with the puppies. Generally, all dogs do not like being pinched, poked, screamed around, picked up. They will tolerate it. Some will tolerate it and get used to it. Others are great with it, but most dogs, they just don't like that kind of stuff. So please teach your kids to behave. Please teach them how to be gentle with the puppies and how to interact with them properly. To get toys to play with the puppy, sticks, and show the kids how to do that. Show them how to walk the puppy. You fall down the stairs. Get your kids engaged with how to properly take care of the dog. That's my best advice when it comes to that. And teach your kids, this is for adults too, but we don't ever recommend playing with a dog or puppy with your hands or your feet. And the reason is because when they're a puppy, it very, very easily teaches them to bite to get you to play with them. And they will get to a point of biting very hard, especially with your herding breeds and your protection breeds. They will bite very hard if you teach them to play with your hands, and they will harass you. They will learn that that's how they get you to do things for them, is by biting and pulling on your clothes and your hands. So if they do that, if they try that, because puppies are puppies, they will bite, nip to explore things, or if they get really excited, there's something. I'm kind of standing in the garage to try to keep the wind sound down. If a puppy gets really excited and they go to nipping at clothes or whatever, a gentle correction snap your fingers, poke them in the side. You can, and we do, when the puppy is persistent, when they don't listen to a noise, be that your fingers or a kind of ah or ch or whatever you want to use. Sometimes we use like a x sound. And a light poke to the side, flank area. I'll show you. Hold on, here's my hand. So you can poke them like right about here or in the barrel. If they don't respond to that and they keep persisting about something you don't want them to do, then you can, when it comes to biting, or if they're chewing on something you don't want them to chew on and they haven't listened, we do occasionally, very lightly, spank them on the butt or bonk them on the nose with your 2 fingers like that. Just enough to get them to stop. You don't have to be harsh with them. But you have to make a point, because if you don't, then they will continue or they'll push their boundaries. You kind of have to view a puppy is similar to a child, and that is you don't want to spank the child, but you will if they persist. And a dog and a puppy is no different. The key is to do it precisely and without anger. Don't be frustrated. Just do and then move on. Treat it like nothing even happened, as long as they left whatever it is alone. That's the key thing there. Potty training. That's a difficult one for most people. And I can't even say that we've succeeded well with some of our own. Mostly the Poms, because they have very tiny bladders, you guys. You get a Pomeranian and you can expect to take it out every 30 to 40 minutes as a puppy. And it takes a long time for them to develop retention in that bladder. The Collies, generally, they get their potty trained by 6 months old. Some of them sooner, much sooner. That depends on the temperament. Some of them later, like Hibana, she was not fully potty trained, or rather, I should say, capable of holding her bathroom until she was over a year old. I am not kidding about that either. And that seems to be a temperament thing. The higher energy the dog, the more nervous the dog, the more they will not be able to hold it or need to go to the bathroom more often. My recommendation for puppies at the age in which, for collie puppies, at the age in which you guys will be getting them, is about every hour and a half. If they're not actively like crazy running around, hour and a half, they'll have to go to the bathroom. If they're sleeping, leave them alone. But as soon as they wake up, take them out. Because puppies almost always have to go to the bathroom as soon as they wake up. And the same thing with feeding. When you feed them, they will immediately have to go to the bathroom. It's like a trigger in them. They have to go right away. So, first week, as I stated, keep it quiet. Work on the potty training. Being consistent there is when you take them out and how often you take them out, if you're able. Be patient. Do fun things. Work on some training. Show them, teach the kids, show the puppies what things they can and cannot chew on. Collies love wood, so if you had wood furniture, they're likely to try and chew on it. So you need to teach them not to chew on that, but to chew on the toys instead. Second week is usually a lot better, but we have noticed some that trail in through a second week before they get more comfortable with things. So second week usually is when they start to really test bounds and be a little crazy. So again, be patient, be consistent, and enjoy them. Definitely. Enjoy them. Look at them. And by a month, usually everything's completely settled in. They'll have settled in what they can and cannot do. And usually they don't test those bounds much until they get around 5 months old, which is when the teething starts. Teething does not start until around 5 months old. Between 5, 6, 7 months for some, that's when they start losing their baby teeth and they get adult teeth. And some of them can go absolutely crazy and start trying to chew on literally everything. They can get testy. They can do a lot of things that you won't expect. Generally, our puppies shouldn't do that, but I won't say 100% because every puppy is an individual, and some of them go through harder periods than others. And sometimes it's just unexpected. Like you have Paladin, for instance. Paladin is a very easygoing dude, but that doesn't mean that during teething he couldn't get very testy with the other dogs or get sensitive to new situations. It's just a hard time for them in general. So again, be patient. I can't say it enough with puppies. Be very patient. Consistent and firm, but patient and kind to them. Let's see, is there anything else I can give as tips? If you guys think of anything, any questions that you have in regards to the puppies or an adult dog, be it Collie or Pomeranian, contact us. Let us know. Put it in the comments. We will answer. We are more than willing to answer questions and give out the information that we have. Now, we are not all knowledgeable. We have just gotten into this and started this. We have had dogs our entire lives, but honestly, that's not really a good claim because having dogs and knowing dogs is completely different. And it requires a lot of work and dedication to really dig in deep and understand dogs on their level. And we are learning. We are learning every day interacting with our dogs. And we've made mistakes. So we're not perfect. We don't know everything. But we're trying. And it is our belief that it's when you stop trying to know more that you've pretty much given up or you've become arrogant. Because you can never stop learning something. If you're crate training, I don't know if any of you guys will be, but if you're crate training, I would start that the night that you get them home. And they will scream. They will fuss. Unfortunately. My battery is running out, so I will be back once it's charged and hopefully finished what I was saying. Alright, and we're back, everyone. Got my battery charged enough that I should be able to finish. Love me. Hush. I'm on the porch with them, so if it gets wobbled around, that they are climbing on me. Stop, you guys. Calm down. I might have to stand up. I left off with the crate training information. So when you bring them home that night, I would suggest starting what we typically do when we've brought one home. We try to spend as much time as we can with them initially until they take a nap. Then we go about our day, and sometimes we can't spend more time with them that evening, but we do our best to spend as much time as we can with them within the first week, to be honest. But about 30 minutes to an hour before you want them to go to bed for the crate training, I would suggest really wearing them out, playing, take them for a walk. If you have a yard, take them out in the yard, get them to play pretty good, and then bring them back in. And as soon as they're getting kind of sleepy, get them in that crate and let them settle down. Put them in a dark room. Preferably what we do is we have them in our room for the first 4 to 6 months. It really depends on how well they do as to when we move them out to a different room. But we keep them in our room because if they get restless, we correct them. If they wake up in the middle of the night, they have to go to the bathroom, we take them out. It's the way we do it. You can do it however you like or what's best for you, what works for you, but this is what we found works for them. And then the next day, generally they usually sleep good the first night, but then it kind of gets bad after that. And they kind of hem and haw and have trouble with it for a little while because they're getting used to the new environment, period. In the morning, don't let them out if they're screaming and making a fuss. Correct them or wait till they're calm, and as soon as they are calm, they're quiet, then let them out and take them out to potty immediately because they will have to go to the bathroom as soon as they get up. I might let them down. It's kind of looking like it's going to rain, but they might have to potty. You can also, it helps if you have a puppy that'll continue to take naps. Whenever they go down for a nap, they get sleepy, they stop moving. Put them in the crate again during the day. Make them take a nap. And be consistent with it. And don't give up on it. It can be rough initially. You don't have to let them scream it out because that's never worked for us. We correct, get them to quiet down. If they don't go to sleep after about 30 minutes of trying, then we usually take them out, run them around, that sort of thing. Not all puppies this age will take naps or take naps well. But you can still try. If they do it, try. If you want to crate train, then, go for it. That's what I would encourage you to do. And the easiest way to train a puppy to be crate trained, aside from nighttime, is to also put them in the crate when they take naps. Every time. It gets them very used to that process. And that's pretty much, that is what crate training consists of. Some dogs don't ever really adapt to it, or it takes them a long time. And they will continue to fuss and hem and haw and potentially even scream. Some of the Poms we have struggled with the most. Now these guys' sire was very difficult. And he still, as soon as he gets up in the morning, he's screaming. But the thing to keep in mind with him is that he's deaf. Their sire is deaf. And that means it is near impossible to correct him and get him to understand what we're correcting him for. So trying to correct him when he was a puppy when he was screaming in his crate. He just didn't get it because he's not getting the sound connected to us doing it while he's screaming, because he's deaf. And touches just didn't quite make sense to him because the way it kind of works with puppies is they first associate the sound to, okay, I'm doing something I shouldn't be doing, and then if I continue, I get poked. I get an actual physical correction. And with Mana, because he's deaf, it just didn't really work, you guys. He's okay now, but he really does not like being in the crate. He's never tolerated it well. But these guys, I don't think would be the same. We have done crate training with them at night, but trying to crate train them for naps, we should have had individual crates for them all. We thought we could get away with one large crate, but we found out that that didn't work. So individual crate training, I would expect they'd do better than most because of the nighttime crate training. But they didn't get the individual training. We hoped to fix that for the next litter, but y'all have to realize that means we're going to have upwards of, if we have a large litter or multiple litters on the ground at once, that could be anywhere from 8 to 24 crates in the house. All appropriately sized for the puppies. So that's a lot. We're going to do our best, and we're trying to figure out ways to achieve this easily and well, but it's a work in progress. What else to cover? Grooming. These smooths, you really don't have to groom, and I don't recommend giving any dog a bath more than every 4 months. And the reason being is because it can really mess up their skin. I know dogs stink, but if you give them a bath more often than every 4 months, it tends to mess up their skin and their coat, just their hair texture. The smooths you don't have to brush, but you can if you want to. Some of them really enjoy it. Their sire really enjoys being brushed. Kismet really likes being brushed. I think all of them probably would, because they love having their back scratched. You just have to be gentle with the brush. And we can give brush advices if y'all would like that. We're not even sold on some of the brushes that we have, but it's what we have found to work. A rough collie now, my recommendation would be once a month you need to check the back of the ears and trim out any mats. If not twice a month, just check behind the ears, make sure there are no mats. That's where they most commonly get them. Usually it's from other dogs tugging on them, but behind the ears is very soft, silky hair, and it easily gets tangled. With our not shorter haired, but moderately coated rough collies, you can get away with only brushing them once a month, and mostly focusing on the neck and the buttock hair, and the tail. Those are the areas that get tangled the most, especially the butt hair. Otherwise, I don't brush them very often. Just occasionally when they get they're looking kind of nappy in between, say a monthly brush, I'll brush out some butt hair if it's looking kind of weird. The main time when you want to focus on brushing them about once a week is when they blow their coat. Once a week to every 2 weeks. Just to help the coat come out, because some of them will shed the coat just fine without any help, and others it gets stuck and you have to brush it out, otherwise it will turn into mats. Pomeranians are different. I hardly ever have to brush any of the Poms. I mainly brush them just to make them look pretty, and when they're blowing the coat, when they're shedding the coat out, because some of them need help when the coat is shedding out. But I hardly ever brush the Poms. I would say every 3 months, 2 to 3 months with the Poms. I don't have to brush them very often. The collies you have to brush more because it's just the texture and the type, volume, the amount of hair that they have. Poms can be very hairy, but texture seems to be different and it helps them shed better. The one that struggles the most is Yokai, but he has a very thick, voluminous coat. Nails with the collies, they need to be trimmed every 2 to 3 weeks. And the reason you need to trim their nails every 2 to 3 weeks is because if the nails get long, one, the dog starts slipping on hard surfaces and it can hurt itself. 2, long nails destroys the front feet and the wrists of the dog. So this area right here and their toes, it can absolutely destroy those ligaments and the wrists in the dog from the nails being too long. It happens mostly in the front legs because dogs bear the most weight on their front end. So that has to be done on a regular. And with Pomeranians, it absolutely has to be done every 2 weeks because their nails grow very fast. We may even do a nail trimming video for you guys. We just haven't as of yet. Nail trimming is... I'm going to get in the garage because there's wind again. It can be very difficult for a lot of people. Because let's just face it. None of our dogs, no matter how well behaved they are, like having their feet messed with. And the males in particular absolutely hate their back feet being messed with. So nail trimming requires a lot of patience. And at times, it requires a lot of restraint, meaning restraining the dog itself to get them to hold still while you do it. Not to the degree that they fight you, get super upset, and flip out or try to bite, because some will try. Not that, but just holding them down enough that they stay still so you can get it done, because it's such an important thing to do. And it helps. It does help them do better when you start them from the get-go. These puppies have been trimmed 4 times now. But we just started them on the Dremel, and we should be trimming their nails tomorrow before they go home. And they did really well, but there will still be times when they struggle or they flip out for some reason. I'm trying to think if there's anything else, any more advice I can give. Food. They're currently being fed twice a day, breakfast and supper, 1 cup. That is just a current for them. When it comes to growing puppies, their needs change almost on a daily. I mean, it can change quite often what they need. That's why we talked about the importance of checking your dogs and your puppies on a regular to see if you need to adjust how much they're getting. Because one of the other things that can destroy feet and the front legs is being too heavy. A fat dog, a obese dog, that all the weight is going on their spine, their center spine, because of the heaviness in their chest and in their front end. And when they're growing, especially when they're growing, when they're too heavy on the front end, it'll break down the ligaments. Okay, so I had a malfunction. Apparently Peyton hadn't deleted any of the videos and the memory card got full. I was talking about the ligaments in the front. When they are overweight, what happens is the weight causes this area, which is basically like your wrist, to be overstressed, and it can break down and cause various things. I mean, you can end up with super flat feet from the heaviness on the feet. You can end up with deformed wrists. They can turn out. Most often they turn out really bad. And Paladin, so he was a very chunky puppy, and his legs are doing better now that we've gotten him under control in regards to how much he was eating. But you can see that front foot there is turning a little out. And it was because he's so heavy. And one of the other things he has going on is he's very muscled, and he is very muscled in the shoulders. So we have to keep an eye on him when it comes to his weight, because he could easily end up damaging those front legs from just the amount of weight he has. We're not talking about emaciating your animal. We're talking about keeping them at a proper weight so it optimizes how they grow. So they can grow their best, and so you reduce the risk of damaging them and causing problems in later life. And that applies to even once they're fully grown. Once they're fully grown, you still have to keep them at a good weight, because you could still cause the same issues by having them obese. We're very, very picky about the weight on our dogs. We aren't asking y'all to be that way, but we are asking y'all to educate yourselves on how to do what's best for them. There are so many problems that come with obesity. Nine, for instance, Nine is, I don't know if all of y'all have been watching the videos and know of him, but he's a monster of a pup. And when we first got him, I kid you not, he was eating, oh goodness, he was eating 6 cups a day. We were feeding him 3 times, so 2 cups at every meal. And he did that for a week straight, week and a half. Hey. And then all of a sudden, he just didn't need that much. So I cut out the 3rd meal, so it was twice a day. And now he's down to, he's eating twice a day with only a cup and a half. So how much they need changes a lot. And it also depends on the predicted size of the dog. Obviously, the larger it may potentially get, they could need more. But it's really an individual thing. It's not something you can put on a chart or someone can tell you 100%. That's something that you yourself have to learn and know what to do for your dog specifically. some burn it very easily, and those are ones you have to feed a lot, and yet they still stay skinny. And then there are ones like Paladin where he gets fat on air. He may grow out of that, but right now he gets fat on air, so we have to be very careful how much we feed him. They're chasing the bird. Wherever they went. Over there. Dad parked the car there and it's kind of in the way. I'll go back in here because the wind's picking up again. So I think that's about it. Those are the topics I had in mind. I don't know if there's anything else. If there's anything that y'all think of that y'all need help with or y'all have a question on, absolutely contact us. Leave comments on the channel and we will get back to you and we'll let you know. We're more than willing to share the knowledge that we have. And if our knowledge changes due to learning something new, we will let you guys know. Well, I think that's it. I believe that's it. So, here's a love me. Love me. Can you tell everyone? Hey, I'm talking to you. Can you tell everyone? Goodbye. Goodbye.